All right, and we are live. So just real quick here at the beginning. Um, the majority of the traffic, at least at first, is probably going to be coming from my channel, and I would hope they know who I am. I give you guys first floor to sort of introduce yourselves, channels about and all that.
Well, we are the Fiberglass Echo Chamber. I am Comrade Bug.
And I'm the like and subscribe. In case you can't tell, I like puns in my name.
Yes, and we,
Fantastic.
like many others in this community, like to make videos discussing controversial topics. Like the ones we're going to discuss here.
Yes.
Right.
So the first on the list, which is that whole issue surrounding Bearing. Now, did you guys see the live stream between Ranting Feminist and Bearing?
I have, yes, I've watched the entire thing.
Oh, she frustrates me. Because it's not that she's stupid. She's not stupid. She's just ignorant.
And what was it? After every other word Bearing says, that was a little off-putting.
Yeah. How's my Ranting Feminist impersonation?
Pretty much. Anyway,
well, at least she's willing to come forward and talk. That's more than can be said for a lot of others among her camp.
Hey, I had a lot of respect for her for being able to get up on a live stream with Bearing and not just hide behind their channel and make subtle innuendos in videos towards people who try to address and talk to them.
Yeah, she's somewhat more rational than the others. She doesn't just, go blocking whoever disagrees with her.
Yeah. Well, that's why I held off for so long making a video about retorting to Marina Shut Up. It's because she is willing to get up and talk to people. It might not change her viewpoint, but she's willing to get up and debate.
And that's laudable.
Yeah. But with the poem she made, Dear Trump Supporters, I just couldn't help it. But I liked the Ranting Monkey did on this, where he sort of went into why it is that he thought was sort of the boogeyman for them. And he made a couple good points. He said, the reason why they target Bearing is because willing to sit there and debate with them and try to reason with them.
I mean, I think it's understandable because Bearing is a really nice guy compared to some of the other dudes. But I think...
And isn't that a good thing?
It's a great thing. Yes.
You would think, but then when they have a direct dialogue with people, they expect that their buzzwords and they're calling them a racist, calling them a sexist is going to make them bend their knee. And with Bearing, it just didn't work. He just kept retorting them. And they don't like it when they keep getting retorted. And people don't just submit to their ideological ideas.
I think there was this one debate where Bearing was with all the other male feminists like Steve Shives and some other guys.
Oh, okay.
And
it was I think you're talking about the one with Demotivator Opinion and Michael Rowlands.
Those guys, where they were discussing the consent thing.
That sent me into a spiral.
They got into such circles in there.
They basically kept up bringing...
It was like, no matter...
They were bringing up the same points over and over again, and Bearing kept up... he kept coming with more counter-arguments. But the entire conversation was just like a Bearing counter-argument, and they're like, no, it's not consent. Because they just refused to accept his points.
And it's like, I sat there and I watched it and I was like, well, then if it's not consent, what the fuck is? It's like they refused to go into what they actually thought it was all they were looking to do was just shoot down every point that Bering made.
And the video that
I feel that stream could have gone a little better, but people have limited patience, and I realized they exhausted each other's patience in there.
I can understand that. But I didn't walk away from that stream with any frustration towards. I think I know Michael Rowlands was in there. I thought the other one was Motivator Opinion, but now that I'm thinking back, it might have been Garrett.
I think there were like 3 or 4 of them, other than Bering.
I thought there was just 2 of them, but again, I could be wrong. Came out of that really like Michael Rowlands. I do not think that he is even a respectable human being. The way he acted after that live stream.
Yeah, the video he made where he edited Bering, that was kind of a asshole move.
That was just extremely fucked up.
Well,
one thing that
I haven't
like someone
in context, so I don't know. I heard claims that this was some attempt to parody or something. I mean, I understand why it was inappropriate, but since I haven't seen the original video, I can't really form an opinion of my own.
Basically, at no point, at least that I watched of that live stream, did the string of words "I think rape is okay" actually come out of Bering's mouth. But yet somehow Rowlands managed to.
I meant the retort Rowlands made. In the retort video, at the end he formed that sentence and put it in Bering's mouth. Now, from my understanding, he did that as some sort of parody, or at least he intended to. It's in poor taste, but if that's what he meant to do, rather than paint him as an actual rapist.
Which and I understand, but my view on it is, to my knowledge, has never edited audio clips of Rowlands to make him say something like that. So just out of the fact that it's in poor taste already, just from the fact that it wasn't really in retort to anything Bering had done, he just sort of did it of his own fruition, is really what bothers me.
Personally, I think that, like, the fact that he made it is a really douchey move, but he made Bering say things that would make a person lose a job if, like, if their employer finds out. And, I think that kind of stuff is pretty much illegal to do. Because some people don't realize that this thing is edited, unfortunately.
Yeah, and in the United States, he could have actually been charged with defamation of character.
Yeah, so that thing could, like, actually ruin someone's life if someone, thinks it's real.
I mean, unfortunately, I know that there are uneducated people on both sides, I'll say. But unfortunately, the uneducated on Rowland's side might look at that clip and think that Bering actually said that and never bother to go back and check the live stream to see if he actually said that.
Those things can, like, completely ruin someone's reputation, and I understand, like, he did it as a joke, but it's not funny, and it's really douchey.
It's like it's like you can make jokes if you want, you can make any joke that you want, but to me that didn't come across as a joke.
Yeah.
Did he ever apologize or clarify?
I don't think he ever apologized. I think he said somewhere, I think on like Twitter or something, that it was just like a joke. He was just shit posting.
But after that, I mean, I'm sure he realized at some point that it was in poor taste.
Did he?
I would hope so, at least. And it's just evolved so much. Like after that live stream that he did with the 2 of them, they all got onto a live stream with West, Christy Winters, who has me blocked on Twitter, by the way. I find that hilarious.
What?
City.
Shived?
I was posting on Twitter, and I saw a tweet that she sent to what's his name? Can't remember his name, but he's one of the YouTubers that Bering is friends with. And she opened the tweet with lol period. So I sent her a tweet that said, "Do you realize how uneducated you sound when you start a tweet with lol?"
And she
blocked me on Twitter.
Nice.
Oh god.
Steve Shives hasn't blocked us yet, so that's kind of cool.
Me, and I hadn't even made a video on him yet.
Yeah, I think people were talking about how he just instantly blocks people that follow specific people. So we're kind of surprised that he didn't block us yet.
That explains it, because I follow people like Bering and Suit and Undoomed and...
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a bot that has a list of people and automatically updates that list and just blocks everyone on that list for you.
That's awesome.
I actually don't I never understood why they do it. Like, why do they stick to that need to block out everyone that disagrees with them?
Because, and I'm gonna play on your channel's name right now. They're trying to create an echo chamber in which only their ideas exist. They don't want other people's ideas because that might change their skewed view of reality.
I just find that so stupid.
It might be the actual reason, but I think in their minds they believe that everyone else is sincerely out to just mock them and not to provide any constructive conversation.
Which, I mean, I could look at a couple of accounts that I know of, and I could say, okay, yeah, maybe there's a strong argument for certain accounts, but there's certainly not a strong argument for Bering, and he seems to be the one they go after the most.
And
yeah, they're overshooting.
There's definitely no reason to block everyone that follows a specific person.
Yeah, it's like, what if, like actual followers who was just following Bering to see if he was posting stuff about them so that they could let them know, and then all of a sudden they're blocked from, say, Shives' Twitter, even though they follow him on YouTube and actively watch his content.
Pretty much. It's just, they're like, I don't want anything to do with anyone that has something to do with Bering. Because Bering is a bully.
I believe they then go to Shives' own channel and make a comment there, and then he manually whitelists them.
Which, I suppose, yeah, that could be possible, but still, it's like, why even create a situation where you have to do that?
Yeah, like, the need to whitelist someone just proves how little you actually want to converse, and rather you just, want to feel like you're right and everyone else is wrong.
Well, maybe they're emotional and are deeply hurt by shitposts, so they'd rather just avoid them altogether.
They need their safe space.
Shoot them right in the fifis. I originally created this channel about a month ago, and I had only been watching this kind of content for about a month or two prior to creating my channel, because I had never really spent much time on YouTube. I did not realize that this level of snowflake dumbassery existed. And as soon as I knew it was out there, I couldn't not say something.
Yeah, I think it would be the same for us. Like, the more time I spent watching these controversial YouTubers, and the more YouTubers I found, it just looks like the thing is more spread. Like, the more time passes, the more, SJW things get. Like, what's going on in Canada and everything in Australia. It's just, I don't know, man.
Yeah. Which makes for a nice opening to our I guess it was originally listed as the third topic, but I guess we could push into it as the second because that's not a big deal to change up the order. And that is the whole free speech thing in Toronto. Now, what side of the fence on that? I think I know the answer, but what side of the fence were you guys on with that?
I find
Well, you'll have to tell me about that thing first. What's the free speech thing in Toronto?
basically
So,
yes, you go on.
basically, what happened was a bill was proposed in Canada's Parliament. Have where Parliament or something, where it would require jobs and universities to provide students of non-conforming gender identities, as it's worded in the law, paperwork with their proper names and pronouns. Say they use the Zerzim pronoun, then their paperwork would actually have to refer to them as Zerzim.
It also
I
adds
see.
gender identity and expression to the discrimination list. So you cannot discriminate someone over their gender identity or expression, which could bring us to it could bring to people getting arrested over not using someone's proper pronouns.
Well,
So
arresting
the
people
controversy.
arresting someone over their pronouns sounds ridiculous. They're not actually doing that, are they?
So the law, I don't know if it's going through for a vote a second time, but I know the first time it did not pass. Like the law in general.
I see.
A second time and passed in the meantime, I don't know, but I believe the first time it did not pass. But basically, where the whole controversy began on YouTube about it was because there was a video that went viral from a protest being led by a professor at the University of Toronto named Jordan Peterson.
Yes, that guy.
That's basically where he came from. And basically in the video, he is surrounded. He's got a bunch of students that support him behind him, so it's not like he's surrounded and all alone. He's practically surrounded by a large group of SJWs, and a lot of the things that the feminists have been saying to defend this law, they're coming from, but what these kids that surrounded Professor Jordan Peterson in this video talking about was not things like providing people with their proper name or protecting against discrimination. It was the majority of the video was them trying to come up with scenarios, trying to shame him for saying that he would not use their special pronouns unless he deemed they weren't having these pronouns for the right reason.
Right. Well, if we're not shaming people for calling other people Sonny instead of their name, then why should we shame them over using the incorrect pronoun, even if you're confusing he with she or backwards?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, these people, they're trying to get people to use pronouns that normally see someone as just from looking at them. Like the Zer Zim, there's a bunch of different ones. And then even they, them, which stated in my videos that if someone is polite, act like an asshat about it, I will adjust to calling someone they, them, but they have to be respectful about it. Because ultimately, in the way I see it, if you don't be respectful to me, I'm not going to be respectful back. So if you're disrespectful to me because I'm meeting you for the first time and I call you she, I'm going to continue to call you she because as far as I'm concerned, you haven't earned the privilege of me calling you by what you want me to call you.
It brings up
Ultimately,
the question.
that applies to names too.
That's true. Like if
Well, names is a little different in my mind because like when I make videos responding to say Riley Dennis, call her Justin. That is to me that is a transition of going from a man to a woman, which I can respect. And there's actual like scientific data that backs that. Before it actually does happen to some people.
Yeah, but
same thing with
you'll
like I
ignore
don't even
that
know
if they're disrespectful and you're already used to calling them by one name.
which but it's like it's if they're disrespectful around that name. Like I don't think that Riley Dennis is a particularly respectable person, but he doesn't get up on his videos every day and whine and complain about people not calling him Justin. He just makes his content and doesn't pay any mind to them.
Well, that's a fair approach, I suppose.
this brings up the question that I asked both of you before. Could being non-binary or gender fluid or any of those things be compared to being religious? Now I'll bring up my reasoning. Just to,
we did have quite a about this via Twitter.
Yes.
And I think it can be compared.
So personally, I feel like God, as long as you believe he's real, is real for you. So if you believe he's real and it affects your life and it affects the way you act, then he's real for you. And so same can be said for gender, as in non-binary gender. Because I haven't seen like any research that proves that non-binary gender exists. I have seen the research done showing the difference in the size of the BSDC between men and women, including transgender men and transgender women, where homosexual men and heterosexual men both had a larger BSDC, while women and men that transferred to women both had a smaller BSDC. And so
you should probably explain what a BSDC is.
My thoughts exactly, Lycan.
So it's a part inside the brain, which is basically fuck. I'll open the Wikipedia page to show this. I'll just read this out. The central subdivision of the bed nucleus of the stria terminals, which is the BSDC, is sexually dimorphic. On average, the BSDC is twice as large in men as in women and contains twice the number of some complicated word and neurons. So basically it's a part in the brain where women have it smaller and men have it larger. On average. And so
yeah, so that's biological proof that sometimes as if we needed more proof to prove it other than the psychological evidence, but that proves
it shows
that it has a biological connection.
It shows a physical disconnection between the brain and the body of transgender people. But now, non-binary people don't have that, and so I feel like as long as if they feel that they're non-binary, if they feel that it's true for them and they fully believe it and it affects their lives and it affects the way they act, then it's true for them. But just like if you have a religious friend and they ask you to, say, pray with them before dinner, you will do it because you respect them. So if they ask you to call them by different pronouns, you will do it because they're your friend and that's what you do. But if someone comes up to you and forces their own pronouns on you, then you have no reason to respect that. It's just like, hey...
Just the same as someone who walks up to you and tries to force you to pray.
Exactly. It's like a Muslim would come up to a woman that isn't a Muslim and would force her to wear a hijab. I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah, which is wrong. At least in Western countries, it is.
So yeah, Lycan,
Well,
what do you feel
a
about
lot
this?
here depends on what gender is being defined as in context, because you have to remember that the people in question probably think that the word gender means something different from what we three are thinking.
Which is, I find it funny because when this whole debate came up to Onision's video, he actually provided a definition of gender. The definition that he provided is traits that define woman. So I
Traits
pointed out
that
in my
define
video,
women?
men or women. So
Okay.
I pointed out in my video, I said Onision still limited to men and women. Which, I mean, I have a friend, a very, very close friend of mine who I love dearly, and she considers herself gender fluid. She tells people to just refer to her how they see her. She looks like a guy, call her he. Personally, I see her as a female because that's how I've always known her. But she does not like flip out on people who assume that she's male, female, or otherwise. She just kind of goes with it. She knows what she feels she is, and telling her that, oh, well, it's not supported by science. She doesn't get caught up in all that, and that's why I have a lot of respect for the way she carries herself with it. Belief, and she's not going to press it on everyone else.
Right. Though using Onision's provided definition isn't very practical, because didn't he also provide a dictionary definition when explaining what feminism is?
This is true. My point in it was that the definition that he provided went against his own point.
Right. But if we are to have a conversation with people who see it as a real thing, then we should at least understand what they're saying, even if they're not sure what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, the way that a lot of them I've noticed define gender is basically just traits. Like, that's all it really is to them. Which removes the connection to the biological sex of male or female.
Right.
Which, I mean, again, I'm not against people using that definition. I'm not against people feeling that way. What I'm against is people trying to press those ideas onto the rest of society and create laws where people can be sent to jail just because they don't subscribe to their ideology.
So basically, you're not against the ideas, you're against these ideas being legally enforced.
Yes.
I've had this discussion with a transgender friend of mine quite a while ago about how people should not be offended when they're misgendered if they don't try to look a certain way. So like he dresses up like he transformed from female to male, and he dresses up very much like a man. He's got a man's haircut, and he looks like a guy. So people don't misgender him.
Yep.
But I know of people that, you know, they say they are transgenders, so male to female or female to male, and they put no effort into trying to look that way. And so you can't get mad at people that confuse you as a boy or as a girl if you don't try to look like a boy or a girl. Because, like, we can face it, people would think a boy would look a certain way and a girl would look a certain way. And so if...
Yeah, it's the brain's natural reaction to stereotype.
If you just, you know, walk around in a dress and, you know, you wear makeup, people are very likely to think that you're a girl. And so when people get... upset and offended when they get confused, when others get confused about it. I really find it pointless and stupid.
Which is a fair point, but then how does one really look? And that's like they're getting upset for not recognizing that they're a non-binary gender, but it's like, how do you look like a non-binary gender?
That's true.
Is anyone supposed to assume that from outward appearance?
Because like we've never really had non-binary people in society before to connect.
Not in Western society, anyway. They've been pretty prevalent in India, I think.
There's a lot of examples from across various different cultures, but generally those quote non-binary genders from across history, they are either more of a spiritual position, someone who was forced to be that thing out of necessity, not out of choice.
And so people don't really have, like, our actual brains don't really have anything to connect being non-binary to, so you don't really have, when you say non-binary, you don't really have a picture of someone in your head other than an SJW or something. But people,
I was going to say, generally, I just picture someone with colored hair and those weird framed glasses.
Yeah, and all those piercings. It's not, yeah. But, you just can't really bring yourself into thinking, oh, this person is non-binary just by looking at them.
Yeah, no. And so that is my biggest query with them getting upset over being misgendered is, especially when dealing with strangers, how do you look non-binary? How do you look like a zer-them or a they-them or a whatever other pronoun you want to use?
Well, the easiest way is to wear a shirt that says your pronouns. But that's kind of lame.
Tattooed on your forehead.
That's a good point.
That works.
What if someone approaches you from behind?
Have it tattooed on your ass, too.
Alright. That's settled then.
In that case, I need to get down to the tattoo parlor and have some tattoos put on my forehead and my ass, because my preferred pronouns are cunt and asshole.
I thought it was dingo.
It used to be ding or ding self, but because you can do that. You can just randomly change your pronouns from day to day.
You transitioned. That's understandable.
Yes, I transitioned into a cunt/asshole.
I hope you feel safe.
Oh, trust me, I'm in my safe space.
Must be very difficult for you.
People just don't understand why it is I shaved all my fur off.
Well, I hope you have a picture of a shaved dingo around somewhere now.
Shaved dingo.
I'll have to find one. We'll be able to shave dingo.
Oh, wow. They do exist on Google Images.
Woo!
Well, now you have a picture to use as the video thumbnail.
Good to know you're not alone.
We shaved dingoes are many, and we are coming for you. So transitioning into our next topic, because I think we've just about beaten this horse as much as we can.
Did you just assume a species?
The election was not what I expected whatsoever. Though I don't think is what anyone expected.
Oh no, I don't think anyone thought Trump would win this. Like people knew he could win this, but polls usually show the right thing.
Yeah, it's funny because generally polls are at least close. Times where they've been wrong before, but it's never been this wrong.
I think
like the polls were saying that Clinton was going to win by a landslide and she was going to capture I think it was something like 40 of the 50 states.
I think I saw a tweet today where of a show from before the elections where they were like, Clinton said this and this thing that completely crushed Trump, and he has no way of winning now.
Yeah, no way of winning.
Oh God.
Personally, being from the States, for Trump, not necessarily because I absolutely support Trump, but because I was absolutely against Clinton.
Oh, definitely. Like, if there were other options, I would go for them. But like the fact that it's Hillary and Trump doesn't leave you with many options.
Yeah, early on in the running, actually, I was before the DNC screwed him. I was actually supporting Bernie Sanders.
Oh yeah, but I think if it was Bernie Sanders
DNC
against
and
Trump, then Bernie would like win by a long shot.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that if Sanders had gone against Trump, he probably would have won.
If third parties were viable, would you vote for either of them?
Hard to say because I'm an independent because I don't necessarily agree with everything that any of the parties say. Like if I were to have been able to have voted in the election where it was Obama versus Mitt Romney, I would have voted for Obama. Same thing for Barack Obama versus John McCain. I would have voted for Obama. So I find hard to say really. Remember his name, but there were some positives to the Libertarian candidate.
Gary Johnson?
Yes. I don't know if the positives he had would have been enough for me to put him over Trump. Would have been close. Part of it too is I had limited exposure to him because third party candidates don't really get to be on TV all that much.
Yeah, I've seen them get kicked off stage when they attempt to be on TV.
And then I ever vote for I agree with some of the things that they say, but I will never vote for a Green Rainbow Party candidate.
One of the things that really annoyed me after the elections is how little argument people actually had against the fact Trump is now president. Like, most people I've asked were like, at first, they're like, oh no, Trump is president, we're all doomed. I'm like, why do you say that? And they're like, well, he's got new codes and stuff. And I'm like, yeah,
No, he's racist.
What's he going to do with that? And they're like, well, he's a bad person, And why is he a bad person? Well, he's racist and sexist. What racist thing did he say? And they're like, well, Mexicans and Muslims. But Muslims aren't a race, and he was talking about illegal immigrants. It's still a racist.
No, it's not.
People just don't want to accept the fact that they're wrong. And
yeah, no, it's bad.
They probably have some mental image of Trump as somebody who opens up his presidency by launching a nuke at Pakistan or something.
Oh no, come on! If he's gonna shoot a nuke, he's gonna shoot it at China.
That's true. That's a good
But
point.
he loves China.
But then again, they would refuse to agree that Hillary would start a war with Russia because, Hillary is rational and she's so sweet. And she's a woman! Don't forget she's a woman!
Did you know that we have the chance to elect the first woman president? Please ignore all the corruption and all the bad things that she's doing. Woman president.
And like with all those people going, oh my god, all the people that voted for Trump are racist and sexist and misogynist, and we live in a patriarchal society which brought Trump to the lead. And like, no, it's the fact that Hillary is corrupt. It's the fact that we're surrounded by this right-hating thing, whatever, SJWs and all those. And the amount of like backlash that people get just for voting for Trump, I think that that's kind of one of the things that brought him to victory.
One thing that a lot of the SJWs wanted to throw is, hey, Hillary won the popular vote, which if you look at it, value and don't take any consideration into effect, then yes, she did win the popular vote. But then you also could that 3 million undocumented immigrants voted in the United States election.
Where from?
So, undocumented immigrants from Mexico. They've somehow been afforded.
How'd they figure that this many undocumented immigrants voted? Don't they keep tabs on who voted?
Yes, they do, but under the left-wing control that has been over the United States up until the last 2 election cycles, undocumented immigrants were afforded the right to vote.
How? Don't they have to show some ID?
Yeah, but they can get IDs.
With the system, from what I've heard at least,
this is how far the United States has fallen.
Dead people can vote as well.
What's stopping them from voting twice then? 3 times? 1,000 times?
Nothing.
And what also annoys me...
We're a republic.
What also annoys me is how people...
Then how did Hillary lose?
People are suddenly complaining
Trump won the right state
about the electoral system, while in none of the other elections they've complained about it. Because this time it goes against what they wanted.
I made a video on that, and I don't particularly feel that the electoral system is a good system, but it may not be a good system, but it's a system we have now, and until it changes, you have to respect its results.
And I really didn't expect...
Or you could riot in the streets.
Oh yeah, that's definitely going to change a whole lot.
Riot.
I really didn't expect the amount of violence that would come from Hillary supporters.
Oh, I expected it.
Like, have you seen the woman that kicked her child out?
They always get violent when they don't get their way.
I
mean, I could point to so many different things. I mean, the riots with free speech up in Toronto with Jordan Peterson, they bragged about how there was no violence at their protest, but there was violence at the free speech protest, without acknowledging the fact that none of the free speech people showed up at free speech protest.
And also the free speech protest, I know one of the SJW guys, he attacked one of the reporters.
Lauren Southern, yeah. That was a big story around that too.
And then what's her face?
They were around.
That stupid-faced girl that was like, "Oh, I didn't see anything, officer."
Fucking smugly puff.
Yeah, that. So, you know.
Did you see the video that Bering did where he actually found an older video from a different gender equality issue at a high school where Smugly Puff was one of the people there?
Oh yeah, where they sprayed something in the parking lot thing.
She was standing there interviewing with the news with that same smug grin that she had at that protest.
Yep. Wouldn't be surprised if she was the one that sprayed it.
I wouldn't be either. Have
you seen that one video where there was there was a child that voted in the mock elections at his school, and he voted for Trump, and he was like an 8-year-old child, and when he came home and he told his mom just kicked him out of the house. Like, she took him out. She obviously didn't completely kick him out, but she was making it look like she was kicking him out, and she was telling him to get out, and he was crying, and she just wouldn't stop because he voted for Trump.
I voted. I saw a few different videos about that. I knew I couldn't make a response to that because it would have just evolved into me screaming and swearing.
Like, I couldn't imagine people doing things like that over a mock election. Like, it's not like the child voted for ISIS.
That's how strongly they felt about it.
Yeah, well, it's okay because CPS, or is the acronym for what's called Child Protective Services here in the United States, actually opened an investigation into that home, and I'm praying that those kids are taken away from her because she is a psycho.
There are so many videos
Taken
coming
away
out.
from her, where to?
Like those kids are screwed in any case, and it's really upsetting to see these kinds of things because they're either going to stay with their abusive mother or they're not going to go with a mother.
Yeah, which is not a good situation in either direction. Just terrible.
It's just really upsetting to see
that
people
lady
like that.
made me so angry. I'm actually looking at my my comment feed right now, and it's funny because the Exploitores, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he actually asked in one of as a comment in one of my other videos, how can undocumented aliens vote? So it's good we went over that in this just these people frustrate me. They really do.
There's so many videos coming out of like people beating people for voting for Trump, and it's really disgusting seeing how they refuse to accept what their country decided.
Yeah. The change.org petition.
Is there actually a change petition?
Change.org. I don't know if it's still up, but there was a change.org petition to the Electoral College to reverse the decision and make Hillary the next president, and it had something like 4 million signatures. And one thing that I love to watch with this is the left, the protectors of the minorities, are now complaining system that was designed to protect the minority.
Do you think any of the states will secede?
That is states every election that threaten that. That being said, with what's been going on in California, for concern, but I don't think that the state government of California will actually go that far.
Well, guess we'll have to see.
They've also started what's its face? They started rioting in Canada as well. Like, how's rioting?
What's the point of that?
How's rioting there gonna help change the decision of a different country?
I guess they're depending on Trudeau pushing, using his connections to get electors to reverse the decision. I mean, I don't think he'll do that, but
the problem is it's been a week. The electors' decisions are now set in stone. Nothing that they do, minus Trump being killed, is going to stop him from being president now.
Yeah, didn't Hillary concede?
Yeah, Hillary conceded. The votes are all in. They've all been tallied. The decision is finalized. It was something like 290 something Trump to like just over 200 Hillary Clinton.
Well,
too late to riot then.
No, but they're going to riot anyway because, that's what they do.
We can film America for the next 4 years and release it later as a comedy movie.
Well, the problem is we'll have to have cameras set up in Toronto and Vancouver, too, to catch what the Canadians are up to.
A lot of footage is good.
Just the number of memes that are going to be coming out of this election is already amazing.
Oh, yes. I'm sure there are people that voted for Trump just to have more memes.
All those sweet memes.
There were like
I suppose a vote for Trump is a vote for memes. I mean, can't forget Pepe.
there were over like
God,
10,000
the
votes for
way-
Harambe.
Yeah, actually, I heard about that. There was also there was another there was something like 40 or 50,000 people wrote in Bernie Sanders.
Do you actually write it in the name or whatever?
They're actually on the ballot, like Jill Stein and Trump and Hillary they had their names with their vice president and then a checkbox.
Mhm.
Bottom, there was an option to write in.
So you can just write in whatever you
Wrote
want.
in. Yeah, and some people took the opportunity to do so.
You can just write your own name and be like, hey, someone voted for me in the elections.
Sounds like our dingo has been kidnapped.
Yeah, I think so.
No, it was my grandfather asking if I wanted to go out to the sub shop with them.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I think Trump's not going to be as bad as people think. Like he seems alright
Well,
so
and
far.
I mean, I've been saying from the very beginning, I don't necessarily advocate for Trump,
And I don't
but
like
I
him.
was just so against Clinton. And yeah, I don't think he's going to be nearly as bad as people think he's going to be. Time, I do. It's not Trump that worries me. Actually, it's Mike Pence that worries me.
Yeah, I heard he's kind of a little messed up.
Creationist, climate change denier, anti-abortion, anti-vaccination.
Pro electronic treatment. Electroshock, sorry.
Yeah. Which is why I laugh at people who are like, oh, assassinate Trump. Do you really want Pence as president?
That is a good point. I remember like
and then
horrible replacement is the best defense against assassination. Trump thought this out.
Oh, how brilliant would that be if that was his motivation? And then even then, if they were to kill Mike Pence, it goes to the Speaker of the House, which I believe is still Ron Paul.
Well,
I guess nobody's killing Trump.
I hope not. For the sake of America. I remember when, like, a year ago, when Trump was announced as running for president, and everyone was, laughing at it like, ha, no way, that's a joke. But now people are actually taking it really seriously because, not half of the voters, a good amount of the voters voted for him. And now he's the president.
And back to my point earlier with the there was just 3 million undocumented immigrants voting, assuming only a majority of them and not all of them voted for Clinton. Just say that a very, very large majority of them voted for Clinton. That let's just be generous here and take away 2,750,000 votes from undocumented immigrants. Vote by 100,000.
There's also this these images that keep going around showing how most white people voted Trump, but then most minorities voted Hillary, and they're like, "Oh, this shows something."
Which
it only
is a strong way to put it, because something like I think it was something like % of the people who voted for Trump were minorities.
Well, from my understanding, most people didn't vote.
Yeah, there was like half the
Yes,
people didn't vote.
The U.S. population it's right around. Last I checked, it's over 300 million. I know that, but there was only something around 125 million people who voted.
Yeah, like if
I
you know.
recall reading that there's about a 40-something% turnout rate.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if people, if they don't want someone as their president, they might want to go vote.
Yeah.
I know in Australia it's mandatory to vote.
The United States doesn't make it mandatory to vote, which do I wish more people would go out and vote? Yeah. But making it mandatory because the real idea of freedom is that you're not forcing people to do anything that's not absolutely necessary, and it's technically not absolutely necessary to vote.
I feel like the fact that the media glorified Hillary so much and like they were like, oh, she's definitely gonna win, no matter what happens. I'm sure that there were people out there that didn't go voting because they were sure that she's gonna win.
Oh, I know a couple of people that they didn't go out and vote because they were certain that Hillary was going to win.
Who do they know? Who were they gonna vote for?
They just didn't vote. They didn't even go to the polls.
So that's a lot of
My impression was that the media demonized Trump so much and the alternative media demonized Hillary so much that the election was between the KKK and ISIS.
Yeah, which is a fair point. One of my friends said specifically, I don't want to vote because I want no part in this travesty. It's like, well, it's okay for you to say, but you still got to live here.
Yeah, I've heard several people say that, and they're like, I have a group of friends, and none of them voted because they were like, nope, not voting for either of those.
Like,
so are they moving to?
No, they're staying.
Canada, Mexico, Netherlands.
They're just gonna live with what America chose.
That was actually a funny thing that Baring pointed out in his video today.
How none of the celebrities.
Hey, why is nobody saying that why did nobody say if Trump wins I'm going to move to Mexico? What's wrong with Mexico? Stop being so racist.
Basically.
Mexico's too hot.
Why do you got to go move to another white country?
Canada is too cold, though.
Well, I don't know. Maybe people like the cold over the hot.
Trust me, I live in New England. I'd prefer the hot.
Maybe they would just, rather live a good life rather than in poverty.
Which is fair enough, but I mean, I think it was more of just like a shit posting type deal. But I found it funny that like almost nobody plans on moving to Mexico.
One of them said they're moving to Spain, but then they were like, "What? I'm not going to do that. Stop oppressing me."
Yeah, it was Amy Schumer.
Yeah. It's really annoying.
If somebody's not voting, then they either accepting the final decision of the vote or they can reject it by emigrating. They still have some choice in the matter.
I find it really annoying how much like all these PC people hate when you generalize a group, but they constantly go like anyone that didn't vote for Hillary is patriarchal, racist, sexist, all those things. Like, can you be more of a hypocrite?
Yeah, I actually today, because I knew that I was going to be discussing this for at least an hour, we've actually pushed into close to or a little over an hour and a half now. But because I knew I was going to be talking about these topics so much today, my 2 videos that I actually have planned to come out just as standard videos today are on religion and anti-gravity people.
Anti-gravity? What?
People who don't believe gravity exists.
Yeah,
Are they in cahoots with the flat earthers?
Yeah,
Yes, they are actually.
I've got one of those on Facebook, and he keeps posting stuff about how the Earth is flat. And today he posted a post about how like he showed a bunch of pictures where it looks like the clouds are behind the sun, and he's like, if the sun is super far, then how come the clouds are behind it? And you try to explain to him, well, sometimes the clouds can be really thin, so you see the light going through it, and he's like, no, the Earth is flat. You can't really argue with those people.
I want to think that they're trolls, but ultimately I know they're not trolls.
Yeah, they're just really religious people.
What's his name? This SpaceX guy. Can't he just take care of them by taking them all to space?
No.
Leaving them there is optional?
That's such a waste of money.
No, because it was actually proposed to one of them once, and they were like, no, you're just going to put up a screen a picture of a round planet and tell me that we're looking down at the Earth.
Yeah, they really don't want to believe anything you tell them.
Well, then put on an astronaut suit and step out the spaceship.
No, they're just going to screen stuff on your astronaut helmet.
The astronaut helmet, it's a TV screen, don't you know?
Let's just throw them all into space and let them enjoy it. And then we both get rid of them, and they get to learn.
Okay, in that case, let them bring their own astronaut suits. Like, tell them, design your own damn suit. We'll put you there, and then you can't accuse us of putting a screen on your suit.
Oh, you'll put us in some spooky room while the Earth looks flat, or not flat, round.
But you're free to move around in that room, so just move wherever you like. Try to find the limit of that room.
It's some fake science thing, you can't trick me.
Fake science?
You can't trick me!
I don't think they're that... I don't even know what to do anymore.
No, they are. They're gonna go to the point where they're like, oh, if we're in space, then where is God? Clearly this is not space.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I think you're mixing up the different issues.
I'm not going too far with this, I promise. I've seen this on Facebook. They are very serious about this.
Oh my god. I love that I always find the funniest is when they stick a ruler on the ground and the ground lays flat, the ruler lays flat against the ground, and they say, if the Earth is round, then how do you explain this?
Yeah.
How do I explain it? The Earth is fucking huge!
It's like, there's this really large, flat salt area somewhere in some magical place, and they're like, well, this place is really, really flat, therefore the entire Earth is flat. And I'm like, no, this place is, it's got curvature and stuff. And it's like, no, I can't see it. Like, of course you can't see it.
The Earth is fucking huge!
They don't seem to understand that. And they show pictures of like really massive ice walls in the poles, and they're like, this is the edge of the Earth. You see that? That's my proof. There is big ice.
To which I would retort, you can go from Canada and you can sail the northern ice cap and go any direction you want around the northern ice cap. You will eventually reach Russia.
And if you keep going, you'll just reach Canada again. But they're like, nah, the Earth is flat, don't lie to me.
There's a part of the South Pole that doesn't belong to any state. I'm sure they can just get a boat and sail there.
But then they'll be like,
I mean, they're putting up pictures of huge walls, but just go ahead and conquer those walls. You say there's permit requirements on entering. Just enter that part that doesn't belong to anyone. Nobody can stop you, or shouldn't be able to stop you.
They're too busy spreading the word of God.
Yeah, I mean, technically, your own boat and you don't land on a part of Antarctica that is already controlled by a sovereign nation, there's no law against going to Antarctica. You just won't survive long while you're there.
Good.
Oh god, that place is cold.
I was gonna say, you won't talk about cold.
Uh,
Well,
well, at
we have
least
gone egregiously off topic.
A little bit.
at least if we set up server farms or nuclear reactors there, we won't have to cool them.
This is true. But then how do you transport that energy all the way up north?
Boats, charge batteries, transport those.
Some big batteries.
Warship sized?
Oh, Jesus Christ. And what boat would you use to carry those warship-sized batteries?
A literal warship?
Oh.
Well-
I was looking at this, going back to our topic. I was looking at this thing. They were talking about why it was that Russia was supporting, or not outwardly, but sort of inwardly, so hoping that Trump won the election. Because if you actually do the statistics, the United States military is egregiously larger. The Air Force is not larger, but it's bigger. And even then, one of the U.S.'s biggest allies is Israel, and their Air Force is terrifying. And then if you go through the tonnage, for the different countries, Russia has just shy of 1 million tons worth of boats in the ocean. The United States has 3.4 million tons worth of boats.
Jesus. That's a whole lot.
So the only possible way in a conflict between the United States and Russia that Russia could actually win here.
Yeah, I think the last thing
Which is not something that either side really wants.
the last thing they need is like another war, and therefore the last thing they need is Hillary.
And that's Hillary. I don't care what these people say. They can call Trump a warmonger if they want. Hillary was much more scarier of a warmonger. All Trump was planning to do, what's going on in fact, he was actually planning on pulling back a little bit from the Middle East and just letting Russia and Syria handle it.
Yeah, I heard they're doing really good right now, actually. They're bringing ISIS down pretty well.
Yeah, ISIS is so scrambled right now that even the Iraqi military is pushing them back.
The same Iraqi military that left them all those supplies at the beginning of the conflict.
Well, details, right? Oh, what a wonderful world.
Hopefully they'll resolve that mess soon.
Let's just hope
And
One
then,
can hope.
but then all those Syrian refugees in Europe will lose their refugee status, and Europe will start sending them back.
No, they won't. That's not very PC of them.
PC culture, come on.
Yeah. Can't send them back. That's discrimination.
Yeah, don't you know you it's racist to discriminate against a religion,
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man.
right?
Well,
You know,
I
completely
wouldn't be
ignoring the fact
surprised
that
if people do protest exactly what you said and repeat it non-ironically.
ignoring the fact that some of those refugees are Jewish and Christian. No, don't pay attention to that.
I have discussed this with a Hillary supporter the other day, where he was like, "Well, Trump is being racist towards Muslims." I'm like, "Well, you know, Muslims aren't a race." And he's like, "Well, of course it is, you know, a race." And I'm like, "No, Jews, for example, are a race. You can be an atheist Jew. You can't be an atheist Muslim." He's like, "Of course you can be an atheist Muslim." And like, these people make
You can
no
be an
sense.
atheist Arab.
They just want to stick to,
That's
you know.
the thing. Is I don't think a lot of people realize that the race is Arab, not Muslim. And there are African Muslims. There are Southeast Asian Muslims.
There are Muslims everywhere, but they're not a race. You can't be racist towards Muslims.
Yeah. That being said, there are some people who take the prejudice towards Muslims to a little bit higher degree than is necessary. I actually support the real policy that Trump is advocating for, which if these fuckwits did any real research, they would find, and that his policy is not ban them entirely. His policy is keep them out until we can get a better idea of where they're coming from and what is that they're harboring.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to let any more in until they figure it out.
Yeah, which I mean, with what's happened in France and where was it? Amsterdam was the other place
No, I think it was Belgium.
where there were terrorist attacks. Belgium, yeah.
Yep.
When there were terrorist attacks. I mean, you got the whole thing going on in Sweden right now, where a lot of the places where these refugees were allowed to settle, they're being the authorities are being kicked out of these areas, and they're instituting Sharia law.
Yeah, people just refuse to see what happens to these places.
It's like these are the supposed quote unquote moderate Muslims that are just trying to escape the radicals.
Have any people been found stoned in these places? Because
last I checked, I don't know, because again, the last thing that I had heard about it, authorities didn't like at all. If like say a police vehicle tried to drive into these communities, stones were thrown at the police vehicle.
I see.
So I haven't gone out of my way to try to find anything on it since then. I hope the situation has improved, but these days there's not a lot of point in being hopeful.
Well, if, like I said, the fighting in Syria ends, then the authorities in Europe will have cause to deport all these refugees, even if it's not politically correct, because that's how the law works presently. I'm sure there are some people within the employed as enforcers who don't care for political correctness.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, bare bones, like a lot of the things that the SJW community believes, at its bare bones, political correctness is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just how far it's been taken.
Well, what is political correctness bare bones? Be nice?
Yeah, basically just don't be a dickhead.
That's something I can get behind.
It's something not anyone, but it's something any logical person could get behind. But
many people.
Yes. rational people. But then they're taking it so far lately, it's getting a little out of hand.
It's just like when you take the concept of quote unquote social justice. I mean, the whole idea that it was originally just a group that advocated for rights of all people. It was basically an egalitarian group. But then over time, it itself up with third wave feminism, which is a bastardization of feminism.
One thing I find
and it went all downhill from there.
You mean unholy creations like Atheism Plus?
Yes.
One thing I find really upsetting is the amount of people that refuse to agree that hating on someone white because they are white is racism.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's one of those things. I don't think you're ever going to get everybody to agree on that.
I saw this post the other day on either Facebook or Twitter or whatever, where there was this one picture of it was titled "When you try to explain to a white person that they can't, people can't be racist against them," and there was a picture of a guy talking to a wall. And I would assume that it would raise some controversial stuff, but the entire comment section was about people complaining about how white people don't understand that people can't be racist against them. And the amount of support that claim gets is somewhat scary, in my opinion.
Yeah,
we probably should send these people somewhere to underdeveloped Africa, because I hear there's quite a bit of black supremacy movements there, going around visiting farms owned by white people, murdering everyone, doing worse things, etc. Maybe if we show them that, they'll see the light? Or am I just being optimistic?
No, that would be racist.
A little too optimistic here. You're being racist. You're saying that black people have the capability of being bad human beings.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? Why would all black people
sorry
kill a white people?
I think you know a guy.
God.
Freaking racist. Oh, it's like I know where these ideas came from. A lot of these ideas, they came about to push a narrative. And unfortunately, this narrative has a grip over at least close to, if not a little bit more than half of the U.S. population, which is really scary.
It just gets out of hand.
Is it really half, though? I mean, not everybody voted, but maybe it's just a very loud quarter.
Based on the evidence and the sample size that we have, somewhat reasonable to say half. It's the only real sample size that we have. I mean, going to the whole U.S. population, it could be a quarter, it could be an eighth, it could be a sixth.
Worrying.
Just so that we're not here for 3 hours, I'm going to introduce the next topic, and that is the safe school debate, which has been going on for quite some time in Australia. It was actually originally an idea created in academia here in the United States, but it has actually been applied in schools in Australia. And I believe you said that you didn't know what exactly this was.
Yeah, tell us about it.
So basically what the Safe Schools program is that it's advocating for, and there's a certain degree to it that I in a sense, but it's still kind of weird. Basically, the idea of the whole Safe Schools program in Australia is creating a safe environment in schools for what they call transgender children. This is where they are teaching kids ranging from ages 5 to 11 about being transgender and being non-binary, and teaching them about all the different pronouns and part of their health of their sex ed classes.
They introduce kids to like actual sex education classes at the age of 5 at school.
Sounds a bit early.
Like,
and
yes,
of the exposure is too early. But where I drew the line is that they're advocating for kids to make the choice of transitioning to another gender at as young as like 6 years old.
I find it like acceptable to teach young children about the existence of transgender people and, you know, gay people and things like that. I don't think it's okay to bring into their heads the ideas that they should do that. And I don't think it's okay to teach them about all those pronouns and stuff, because you put so much information into a child's mind, which is confusing in the first place. But the fact that there is no scientific evidence of the existence of non-binary people, I don't know, teaching these kinds of things at school, like we said before, it's kind of like teaching religion.
Yeah, and it's like one of the videos that I saw, actually one of the videos on it that Suit put out, showed a kid who he was only 6 years old, and they had convinced him that he had basically been convinced in his own mind that he was a girl. Dressing like a girl, they forced the other kids to start calling him she and calling him his girl name, which I don't remember what his girl name was. Not that I'm saying that incorrect to not let the other kids make fun of him, but I think he's too young to be starting to make that kind of decision.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that stems from the adults who transitioned and were told that, as a practical thing, a transition that starts early is more successful the earlier it starts. So they're probably thinking that they're giving their children the best opportunity without considering how it affects their developing mind.
And not even their mind too, because attached to this is people saying that it's okay to let kids who are 10, 11, 12 years old go on not only hormone blockers, but on testosterone or estrogen.
I feel
like I said, for them it's a practical concern. A transition that starts early is going to be more successful than one that starts after puberty.
Which is true, but it also has the chance that if they later on decide that they were wrong, then they have to deal with the permanent effects of that decision for a decision that they made when they were 12 for the rest of their lives.
Right. That's the disadvantage of this.
I feel like
because I mean, like,
children at such a young age are not capable of understanding the meaning of such things. And the fact that they're being
I don't
allowed...
know, children of young ages are capable of understanding a lot, depending on the child, of course. But overall, I do agree that putting them through the choice is kind of cruel.
Because I mean, like, and to the argument that it's more successful and they match better when they get older, I mean, I point no farther than Blair White. Started her transition until she was 18, 19 years old.
Like, if you reach
and she looks more female than Trigglypuff.
If you reach an age where, you know, you're capable of, like, fully thinking for yourselves and understanding that you really feel this way, like if you're a little older in your teens, but not when you're 6 years old or 7 years old. Children can, you know, some young boys can be a little feminine and some young girls can be a little masculine, but that doesn't mean that they're a different gender. Little kids can like different things.
Perhaps in the future, social justice warriors can implement a puzzle policy, whereas they make all newborns into eunuchs, removing their particular tools and simply letting them grow up into adulthood, where they get to pick which one they attach back.
That's a scary thought.
A little bit.
That is a horrifying thought.
But I think it's something they try to do.
I wouldn't be surprised.
What's terrifying about it is I don't put it past them to do it. Oh, that's actually a really scary thought.
Well, I apologize to the audience for causing you your future nightmares then.
I was going to say, where's the trigger warning?
I just hope it's going to stay as nightmares and not become reality.
Oh, just you wait.
Jesus. This video now, I'm putting a trigger warning just before that.
How long have we been going for?
It's been, I think, close to 2 hours now.
Oh, wow. I think we've covered everything.
You want to wrap it around here?
Yeah, I think this would be a decent place to wrap it.
Yeah, we've discussed everything we wanted.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Danny.
Thank you for all the love.
No problem whatsoever. This has been quite the conversation. And now I'm going to have to get rid of some of these nightmares.
Oh, yes. Well, this was definitely enjoyable.
It was. It's nice to have this platform where you can actually talk to people who with similar ideas and even people with different ideas. Friend who
right.
He is a friend who I said wasn't going to vote. He's an avid Democrat. Debates all the time.
I think it's really enjoyable to find people that are actually willing to discuss things openly without, you know, bashing you and closing off their minds.
Yeah. You on Twitter, Steve Shives. I have a decent list of people who have blocked me on Twitter. Chrisiosity, Ashley Mardell, Shives.
I remember when we just opened our Twitter account, we were like, hey, let's see how long Steve Shives is going to take to block us. And he hasn't blocked us yet.
Has he blocked us yet?
No.
No?
We have not achieved quite success.
You haven't been shitposting enough, Comrade Berg.
Sorry.
I know. You need to step up your shitposting game.
I'm a failure.
Don't worry, I forgive you.
Oh. You're too sweet.
I like you. Oh.
I've never closed off a conversation before.
When I created my when I created my Twitter, that was my thing too. How long is it going to take Steve Shives to block me?
Well, at least you were successful.
And
Took him
How long did
about
it
2
take?
weeks.
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
I think Krot and T said that he made a Twitter account and was blocked in 2 days.
Well, Croton T is a bit of a bigger channel than I am.
Yeah, but he said that he made the Twitter account when he only started his channel.
I guess Steve Jobs
Oh,
was a
boy.
little more intense about that.
Maybe it was
Yeah,
a
Steve
different,
Shives is-
more innocent time.
Possibly.
Of a human being. Though I will say, I was talking to, I had a short comment exchange in the comment section of the last video I made on Shives with Bloodwing. And Steve Shives these days ain't looking too good. He's looking very pale.
Is he?
Hmm.
I mean, I can't really say much. I'm Soviet, so I'm as pale as paper.
I'm from New England. Speaks for itself. As if it wasn't bad enough that I'm also Irish.
Yeah, your fur is a little bit ginger.
Well,
Can't tell.
well, if Shives is paler than when the tone he had when he started making his videos, then people will notice. Maybe it's all the stress of having to block everyone.
Could be.
I just imagine him just like sitting in a corner in his house, like, gotta block unliked ideas.
It takes time, man. It's like
Like
thousands of
sobbing in the
people.
corner. He's just like sobbing in the corner while his wife gently strokes his hat.
Or maybe he's being abused by said wife.
Oh no, women can't abuse
Gee,
men.
fellas,
What are you
I'm
talking
worried.
about?
He wears the hat in every video to not show the fact that she constantly pulls his hair.
It's not abuse, though. He is a man. Women can't abuse men.
Oh, of course, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Let me tell you something. I am not a small guy, but I know some women that could kick my ass.
Oh, definitely. I'm like tiny, so anyone can kick my ass. So
Yeah.
But not women, because I'm a man.
I'm only. I'm only 5'9", 80 pounds. Former amateur wrestler and American football player.
Damn.
I'm trying to think how much is that in metric.
It's like 175.
That's fairly tall.
Compared to, us.
Ah, yes. Officially now, this is the tiny people stream, I guess.
Yes.
Yes, it's truly sad when you can say that I'm the tallest person, yet I'm in the stream, and yet I am the shortest person among my friends.
I can relate.
Oh god.
And my two best friends are both 6'3".
Jesus Christ! Do you have to look up at their nostrils?
Not that bad. I step on their foot and make them come down to my level.
Can definitely relate.
Ow.
With again
Poor
keeping
tall
in mind
people.
that I'm 280 pounds and I'm stepping on their foot.
I like where this went from
Did I
politics
say
to
ow?
this.
No?
Sometimes people step on me by accident because, they just don't see me. So that's fun.
Their eyes just go right over your head.
Yep.
Oh,
Guess we tired you out.
I have a Skype call to do with one of my friends from Canada.
That's
It's
acceptable.
good to have you guys on.
Definitely. Thank you for
Thank
hosting
you.
us.
Thanks,
Thank you
Danny.
for-
All the best.
I thank you for coming on to this hangout with me.
Yes.
For those who managed to watch to this point, I'll probably intro letting people know to subscribe to your guys' channel.
Oh,
But if you've watched to this point, please go subscribe to their channel. They haven't posted any new content lately. You should probably get on that.
sorry.
But as you can see here, they're good folk. Subscribers. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a good one.
Good night.